Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate important infrastructure projects related to ports, shipping and waterways in Kerala. Qatar and France broker deal to get aid medication to civilians and hostages in Gaza. US welcomes the announcement. An energized Indian squad is all set to finish the last T20 series before the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in style, as Men in Blue will take on Afghanistan today. Let's begin by getting you all the buzz which is being generated in the build-up to the consecration ceremony of the Ram Temple in the Indian holy city of Ayodhya on 22nd of this month. The temple town wore a festive look on Tuesday with special rituals including Dashrath Mahal that were organized, marking the start of an event that will culminate with the opening of Ram Temple on January 22nd. 121 priests chanted Sanskrit hymns and performed Vedic rituals. The designated host appointed by Temple Trust, Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra, conducted the atonement ceremony. On Wednesday, a procession will carry the idol of Lord Ram in his childlike form to Ayodhya, with devotees carrying Saryu water in Mangal Kalash en route to the temple. As the date for consecration ceremony of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya comes closer, travel portals in India are seeing a jump in search and bookings, not just for Ayodhya but across religious places. Among the celestial hotspots, Ayodhya has emerged as the reigning star. This surge in spiritual tourism not only signifies a growing interest in India's sacred sites, but also underscores Ayodhya's newfound prominence on the global spiritual map. In the series, India's Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia and Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath virtually flagged off flight services from Ayodhya to Bengaluru and Ayodhya to Kolkata. Pilgrims from all across the country are set to visit the city for the consecration ceremony of the Ram Temple on January 22nd. In the last 9 years, India's Uttar Pradesh has become an important state in the field of air connectivity. And preparations for the inauguration of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya are in full swing, and the fervour is just going to escalate as Ram Leela depicting the life of Lord Ram is being organized in Ayodhya. As the consecration ceremony is slated for January 22nd, individuals lit up earthen lamps along the serene banks of Saryu River, engaging in the age-old tradition to symbolize the spiritual significance of the upcoming ceremony. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has shared a last verse recorded in the melodious voice of late singer Lata Mangeshkar. Remembering Lata Mangeshkar, Prime Minister tweeted that as the nation awaits 22nd January with great enthusiasm, one of the people who will be missed is our beloved Lata Didi. Depicting the temple in Ayodhya, along with intricately crafted idols of Lord Ram and others, Mamta Goyal, an artist from Meerut, is showcasing her devotion through her unique artwork featuring sculptures and idols of Ram temple on the leaves. She is aspiring to showcase her creation at the consecration ceremony on January 22nd in Ayodhya. India's Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri held bilateral meetings with prominent personalities in Davos on the sidelines of World Economic Forum. Minister Puri held the meetings regarding Global Biofuel Alliance, an initiative by Prime Minister Modi during India's G20 presidency, and India's major thrust towards clean and green energy alternatives. He met with CEO of Varo Energy, Mr. Dev Sanyal, and Mr. Brian Sykes, Chairman, President and CEO of Cargill. Both parties discussed future opportunities in the field of future biofuel energy and the possibilities of collaboration between Indian PSUs and these companies. Minister Puri also met with Marina Silva, the Environment Minister of Brazil, whom he knew since his tenure as India's ambassador to Brazil. He later held another meeting with Mr. Oyvind Eriksson, President and CEO of Ackertech USA, inviting him to collaborate with Indian industries in oil and gas sector, particularly pertaining to LNG infra and exploration of large sedimentary basin. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate 3 major infrastructure projects worth more than 40 billion rupees related to the ports, shipping and waterways sector in Kerala. During his visit to southern port of Kochi, Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate the new dry dock at Cochin Shipyard Limited, the International Ship Repair Facility of Cochin Shipyard Limited and LPG Import Terminal of Indian Oil Corporation Limited at Puthuvaipi in Kochi. Now, these major infrastructure projects are in line with Prime Minister's vision to transform India's ports, shipping and waterways sector and build capacity and self-sufficiency in it. With the commissioning of these 3 projects, the nation's shipbuilding and repair capacities as well as growth of energy infrastructure, including ancillary industries, will get a boost. The projects will also boost EXIM trade, reduce logistics costs, drive economic growth, build self-reliance and create numerous domestic and international business opportunities. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Guruvayur temple in southern Indian city of Thrissur. Prime Minister offered prayers there and fed the fish in the temple. Prime Minister also blessed the newly wedded couple, daughter of Malayalam actor Suresh Gopi, a former Rajya Sabha member, during his visit to Guruvayur temple. All right, up next, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. The remains of a 2,800-year-old human settlement have been discovered in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's native village of Vadnagar, Gujarat. A joint study by Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and Archaeological Survey of India has discovered evidence of the full-fledged human settlement. The authorities have unearthed more than 100,000 remains so far. The much-awaited Jagannath Temple Heritage Corridor project at Puri in the Indian state of Odisha will be open to the public on 17th January. Lord Jagannath Temple is one of the oldest temples of the Hindus and is also one of the 4 holiest temples in India. The temple heritage corridor has been built to enhance the visual connection between devotees and the shrine. On the birth anniversary of the 10th Sikh Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the celebrations begin in the Golden Temple, Amritsar, in the Indian state of Punjab. It is the 357th birth anniversary of the 10th Sikh Guru. The Gurudwara is decorated beautifully with colourful flowers as people throng in large numbers to seek the blessings. Republic Day parade rehearsals are in full swing in India's capital, Delhi. The parade is underway at Kartavya Path from Vijay Chowk to India Gate. India will celebrate the 75th Republic Day on 26th of January. French President Emmanuel Macron will be the chief guest at the Republic Day celebrations this year. Fitch Ratings has said that India is poised to remain one of the fastest growing economies in the world in the next few years. The rating agency has also affirmed India's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating at BBB with a stable outlook. The financial rating agency has also made an upward revision to India's growth forecast from 6% in May last year to 6.9% for fiscal year ending March 2023. A fancy dress ice skating competition was organized in the Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. This year, the organizers have good sessions as clear weather has provided skating climate for them. Over 100 boys and girls participated in the event. The local residents and the students enjoyed the charm of over a century-old Shimla Ice Skating Club. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faces a major parliamentary showdown on Wednesday over Rwanda's asylum plan. In Canada, extreme cold turns boiling water to steam, freezes cracked eggs. Second seeds Satwik and Chirag to face world number 25 Fan Zheng and Fan Chi Lee of Taipei in their opening round of India Open Badminton Tournament in Delhi.
This is Dashrath Mahal or Dashrath Palace, which is thought to have served the home of Lord Rama in his younger days and also served as the capital of King Dashrath.
राम राज्य पूर्णतः 22 जनवरी को वापस आ रहा है। हम लोगों में एकदम हर्ष उल्लास है। जय श्री राम। पूरी अयोध्या मानो दुल्हन की तरह सज गई है।
राम राज्य के दर्शन करने सब राज आएगा। ये पृथ्वी का ना राजा राम जी है।
अयोध्या में राम जी का भव्य मंदिर, दिव्य मंदिर बन रहा है। ये हमारे स्वाभिमान का प्रतीक है।
Iconic Ram Ki Pedi or the series of ghats on the bank of much revered river Saryu.
राम जी का राज्य था, राम जी का राज्य है, राम जी का राज्य रहेगा।
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Let's get to international updates. Update on the Israel-Hamas conflict first. Israel and Hamas have reached a deal to allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza. Under the deal brokered by Qatar and France, urgent medication will be provided to hostages held by Hamas. In return, Israel will allow more humanitarian and medical aid into Gaza. The mediating countries said that aid would leave Qatar for Egypt on Wednesday before being taken across the Rafah border crossing. The International Committee of the Red Cross will coordinate the aid on the ground. The United States welcomed Gaza aid agreement. National Security Council spokesperson Adrian Watson said the Biden administration welcomed the announcement by Qatar on deal to deliver medicine to hostages held in Gaza by Hamas. The Israeli army released a video on Tuesday showing another Hamas tunnel under Gaza's main north-south highway. Part of the footage was captured by a body cam mounted on a soldier going through a tunnel and walking around underground structures. The IDF says the tunnel was used by Hamas gunmen to travel between North and South Gaza undetected. The route, which stretches for hundreds of meters and is approximately 9 meters deep, was used by Hamas for transfer of terrorists from northern to southern Gaza. Israelis released from captivity in Gaza reconvened on Tuesday to hold a solemn first birthday ceremony for the infant of a family still held hostage. Kifir Bibas was 8 months old when Hamas stormed Kibbutz Niroz on October 7th as part of the cross-border killing spree in southern Israel. Kifir became the youngest of around 240 people taken back to Gaza Strip as captives. Kifir would turn 1 year old on Thursday, at which point he would have spent a third of his life as a hostage. The U.S. military carried out new strikes in Yemen on Tuesday against anti-ship ballistic missiles in a Houthi-controlled part of the country. The White House said additional U.S. strikes on Tuesday took out ballistic missiles Houthis were ready to launch. During the strikes, one of the missiles struck the Greek-owned vessel in the Red Sea. Attacks by Iran-allied Houthi terrorists on ships in the region since November have affected companies and alarmed major powers. France, on its part, clearly said that it chose not to take part in the US-led strikes because it wants to avoid a regional escalation. President Macron said the country has a defensive approach in the Red Sea and would stick to this stance. Meanwhile, in a bid to cut off their funding and supply of weapons, US President Joe Biden's administration plans to put Houthi rebels back on the US list of terrorist organizations. Meanwhile, the United States has clearly said that they do not expect their strikes on Yemen's Houthi rebels to eliminate the threat posed by the group in the Red Sea. Country's National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said this at the World Economic Forum on Tuesday. He stressed that this goes way beyond being a regional challenge, as it is regarding vital artery of global commerce.
We mobilized a coalition of countries to take strikes to degrade the Houthis' capabilities so their ability to mount sustained and complex attacks becomes more difficult over time. But we did not say when we launched our attacks, they're going to end once and for all, the Houthis will be fully deterred. We anticipated the Houthis would continue to try to hold this critical artery at risk, and we continue to reserve the right to take further action, but this needs to be an all-hands-on-deck effort.
Moving on, Pakistan said neighboring Iran has violated its airspace, resulting in the death of 2 children. The reaction came hours after Iranian missiles targeted 2 bases of terrorist group Jaish al-Adl on Tuesday. Islamabad warned that the incident could have serious consequences and was completely unacceptable in a statement released by Pakistan's Foreign Office spokesperson. They lodged a protest with Tehran, and the head of the Iranian mission in Islamabad had been called to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. On Monday, Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards attacked targets in Iraq and Syria with missiles. Jaish al-Adl has previously mounted attacks on Iranian security forces in the border area with Pakistan. Let's get to updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Now, 2 Russian missiles struck a residential area in the center of Ukraine's Kharkiv on Tuesday. The officials said the attack injured 17 people and badly damaged the homes. Fires were extinguished in 2 buildings, while other buildings, including residential, sustained damage. Emergency services shared images of rescue teams tackling fires, piles of smashed building material, and ascending ladders to damaged upper stories. The teams were also searching through piles of rubble to establish if others were injured. The city's mayor said there were 2 powerful explosions and said at least 10 dwellings had been damaged. Russian President Vladimir Putin said that it was impossible to take away from Russia the military gains it had made in Ukraine on Tuesday. Further, he said that ideas put forward by Ukraine were prohibitive formulas for the peace process.
As for negotiations process, it is an attempt to make us refuse those gains we have achieved for last 1.5 years. It is impossible. Everyone understands it is impossible, and they, the Ukraine ruling circles, understand it. And Western elites understand it. Everyone understands. These so-called peace formulas that being discussed in Ukraine and in West are the extensions, the continued implementation of Ukraine's president decree that prohibits holding negotiations with Russia. That is what it is. These are prohibitive demands for negotiation process.
Meanwhile, the Russia-Ukraine conflict was also discussed at length at the World Economic Forum underway in Davos. Addressing media on the sidelines of the forum, Polish President Andrzej Duda said that the country needs NATO support to secure airspace and strengthen security.
I told the Secretary General that an incident with a Russian rocket entering Polish airspace shows a clear necessity to strengthen Poland's security. The presence of systems guarding our skies, our airspace. I remind you that we are in the process of building a 3-layered air defense and missile defense system in our country. But the system is under construction. Today we need support, and that's what we discussed.
On the sidelines of the World Economic Forum, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said that it is very important for the 27-member bloc to unanimously approve the debated financial aid for war-torn Ukraine.
I think it's very important to engage with all 27 member states of the European Union to get the 50 billion euro for 4 years for Ukraine up and running. And this is the phase we're in right now. It's a preparation for the extraordinary European Council on the 1st of February. It's hard work. We have discussed many different issues. For me, it's very important. My personal priority is to have an agreement by 27. If this is not possible, we are prepared for an agreement by 26, but I strongly support and prefer an agreement by 27.
Hungary has opposed EU's efforts to revamp its budget to channel 50 billion euros to Kyiv. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said the European Union should help Ukraine, but not by diverting resources from the bloc's budget on Tuesday. Orban added that any financial facility for Ukraine should be separate from the EU budget. Hungary's proposal for creating such a mechanism was based on allocating aid on the basis of gross national income. Polish truckers have agreed to suspend a protest on Tuesday that has been blocking border crossings with Ukraine since November. Poland's infrastructure minister, Dariusz Klimczak, said the hauliers will suspend their protest until March 1st after signing an agreement with the government. The truckers will stop their blockade on Wednesday while they hold further negotiations with the ministry in order to reach a final deal by 1st of March. Polish drivers had been demanding that the European Union reinstate a system whereby Ukrainian companies need permit to operate in the bloc, and the same for European truckers entering Ukraine. The Polish drivers warned that they would return to the border crossings if the infrastructure ministry failed to fulfill its pledge. Following his address at the World Economic Forum, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky attended the opening of an exhibition at Ukraine House in Davos on Tuesday. Zelensky greeted and hugged children at the event. Zelensky and Polish President Andrzej Duda toured the exhibition, in which 4 contemporary Ukrainian artists depicted Ukraine through a series of video portraits and stories. The exhibition portrays Ukrainians as they defend freedom, endure losses, and achieve victories. French President Emmanuel Macron plans to visit Ukraine in February to finalize a bilateral security guarantee deal involving the delivery of advanced weaponry. Macron added some 40 Scalp long-range missiles and several hundred bombs would be delivered in the coming week. France has already delivered about 50 Scalp missiles, 3 times as far as Ukraine's existing missile capacities. Further, Macron also said that Europeans would ramp up their support for Ukraine in the coming weeks. France's defense ministry on Tuesday stated that Ukraine's defense minister will be in Paris on Thursday. Italian, Slovenian and Croatian interior ministers met near Croatian-Slovenian border to discuss border checks and border police cooperation related to unauthorized immigration. The ministers met in the town of Bizet 3 months after Italy reinstated police checks at the border in the northeast, suspending the free movement normally allowed within most of the European Union under the Schengen Treaty. Immigration has been a hot-button issue in Europe since 2015, when more than 1 million people arrived across the Mediterranean Sea. The Western Balkans route thus accounted for over a quarter of the illegal crossings at the EU's borders in the period. Updates from the Korean Peninsula now. South Korea has sanctioned 2 individuals, 3 entities and 11 ships linked to North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. The sanctions announcement comes days after North Korea fired a new intermediate-range solid fuel hypersonic missile, which South Korea and the United States strongly condemn as a serious violation of UN Security Council resolutions. Seoul's foreign ministry said the newly blacklisted targets have chiefly been involved in illegal energy smuggling at sea. The nuclear envoys of Japan, United States and South Korea are scheduled to hold talks in Seoul on Thursday. Meanwhile, North Korea's foreign minister has lauded comradely ties with Russia on Tuesday. Ko Sun-hee said that she in fact said this as she and her Russian counterpart held rare talks with President Putin. Both of them briefed Putin on the results of their talks earlier in the day. They also exchanged views on bilateral relations and the situation in Northeast Asia. Earlier, during her talks with Lavrov, North Korea's Ko hailed progress on implementing agreements struck during Kim's visit to eastern Russia last September. Ko mentioned that top leader Kim Jong-un has invited President Putin to visit the DPRK at a convenient time. North Korean foreign minister's visit comes as the two countries have drawn closer since the beginning of Russia's military campaign in Ukraine. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faces a major parliamentary showdown on Wednesday over his plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. The Conservative Prime Minister on Tuesday battled to quell growing dissent over his safety of Rwanda asylum and immigration bill, testing his authority with a general election on the horizon. The Parliament launched 2 days of debate about the scheme. The Conservative rebels, who backed changes to close what they say are loopholes in the legislation, will now have to decide whether to back down or join forces with opposition parties to try to defeat the government at the law's final stage in the House of Commons. With an election due later this year, many Conservative lawmakers are fearful of losing their parliamentary seats. In what was recorded as the second volcanic eruption on the peninsula of Reykjanes in recent weeks, the site of volcanic eruption in the outskirts of Grandavik in Iceland appeared to calm down. Although authorities and geologists warn of persisting danger, officials warned that new fissures could emerge anytime, adding that magma continued to flow underground and it was too early to declare the eruption over. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Bill to avert a partial US government shutdown beginning this weekend clears the first procedural hurdle in the Senate. An Indian women's hockey team storms into the semi-finals of the FIH Hockey Olympic Qualifiers 2024.